Hello Toby, and welcome to this video. As we discussed, I just wanted to make a video on Bootstrap and just try and clarify a few things. Just try and explain, simplify it, as much as I can, so you can just get it. From there on, we will look more like the practical side of it next. But for now, I just want to go into the theory behind Bootstrap and how it works in normal language, normal simple words. So here I have CodePen open, and although we won't be using it much, I just decided to open it, right? So I tried to explain it in the last I guess Zoom message or something like that, the Zoom meeting, what Bootstrap is, and the idea behind it. But let me just see what I can do now, and just because you have to get Bootstrap, and because it's quite essential when you're just trying to build web pages and be a web developer. So the first thing you should know about Bootstrap is that there are a few things to know. It simplifies the way you build your website, like it simplifies it extremely, in the sense that you don't necessarily have to bother about HTML and CSS to an extent. You don't have to bother about it again, or not really again. Surely there are some perks with it, but you don't really have to bother about it on, okay, when you're trying to add something quite advanced and stuff. Don't bother about it. So it simplifies building websites. Secondly is that it brings responsivity, something like that. It makes sites responsive. you know Normally when you're trying to build a website, and one of the main or the key aspects that you should focus your energy on is to make it responsive, meaning that in different screens, in different devices, let it scale let it scale up and down to fit the screen. That's what responsivity means in web dev. So second is that Bootstrap tries to be as responsive as possible. On the other hand, when you're trying to build a website, you can spend a lot of time tweaking some value, something like you're trying to create a box, a div or something like that, and then you can just find that you're trying to keep stuff inside the div, but when you render it in a PC, you might find that it's not quite good as you like, and you try to start going into your CSS, and just like writing something like width 100 page, and you find you can render it back, you save or something, you can render it back, and then you find that okay, you don't like the way it actually looks like. What just happened? Oh sure, it's saved. You don't like the way it looks like, and then you come back here, just try to edit the values and everything like that, and it takes a lot of time. That's when you're trying to achieve responsive site or whatever, a page. But Bootstrap does that by layout. The very idea of layout in Bootstrap is responsive. Let's just go with that. So what exactly are these layouts? These layouts that Bootstrap has and everything like that, how do they achieve this, this very easy way to, to build site and everything, that you have to forget or don't bother too much about HTML and CSS, and sometimes JavaScript, but not as much. So the idea now is that when you're talking of Bootstrap, when you want to try and understand the core functionality, how it functions, just put it in your mind that Bootstrap divides a screen into 12 columns. Yeah, the word is columns. Like, it divides the screen 1, 2, 3, 4, 12 of it. And it's called I was actually reading up on it a bit. This is Bootstrap grid system. It's called Bootstrap grid system. So in a cube, or a room, when you try to measure the room, when you want to keep some particular, maybe some chairs and whatever, trying to measure the length and size of the room and everything like that, you can call it grid. You can divide the cube in grids and stuff. So Bootstrap divides your screen in 12 grid. Yeah. So now that 12 grid, those 12 grid rather, is what kind of scales up and down in the screen. Now, I'm trying to explain this. Let's go on to Bootstrap and I'll read some text for you, and just try and give you the simple explanation to that. But for now, we can see something here. They said container. Bootstrap requires a containing element to wrap site contents and house our grid system. Without a container, the grid won't work properly. Meaning, of course, the container is like the room. Let's just keep it like that. Or the whole screen, the full screen is the container. Let's just, and then without this thing, grid won't work. So they need this to wrap all the site content together. You can see they are keeping everything in one space. What that means is that if you try to expand, they will expand with the same ratio. You can't just, one element at the top cannot just keep expanding somewhere. Maybe a particular text here is expanding, and then because this one is at the bottom and it has a different width, it's not expanding in the same ratio. It expands everything. There's a word I'm trying to think of. There's a word. It expands everything. Oh, I'll try and think of that word, because I want to use it to kind of make you understand exactly how it expands stuffs. So now come down here. They say row. Rows create horizontal groups of columns. Therefore, if you want to split your layout horizontally, use rows. Of course, these are columns and then these are rows. So what they are trying to say now is that I don't really want to go into the technical aspect, but just know that when you're trying to create a particular layout of Bootstrap, regardless of how you want to create it, you need to first define a container, then you define a row, and then finally the columns come inside the row. So if I'm trying to explain this row, what rows do is that they house the column. Something like you can have up to 3 different rows on a web page, just a web page, and then those rows will differentiate how the columns are aligned, meaning that I can have one row and I can I can add some CSS styling to it, and it won't apply to the remaining rows. So the row is kind of housing the columns, irrespective of the fact that the container houses every single thing. Everything here is inside container, but when you try to apply a styling to row and you indicate for just one particular row, the columns in that row would only achieve that styling, the rest would not. So that's just what the rows are trying to do for us. Now columns. So columns, Bootstrap's grid system allows up to 12 columns across the page. Now you can see it here. That's what I was been trying to explain. So this is the columns. They are 12, and then since they are 12, you know that you can arrange it anyhow you like. You can add up the columns in different ratios. Now this is 6:4, this is 4:4, equal, and then this is 6:6. So close the door. So since you can actually divide it anyhow you like, you will know first off that it must add up to 12. So anything you're trying to write on the left, just know that the remainder would want to apply on the right. So if you just come up and you're writing I want a 8, come like I want a 8 sized column on the left, and even if you're not using the right side of the page, just know that it's remaining 4. In case of anything else you want to keep there, to remain 4, because we're using Bootstrap. If you're not using Bootstrap, you can do a lot of other editing and stuff, but for Bootstrap, this is how it goes. Now you can see here we have 4:4 because this adds up to 12. No more space is remaining and it's all used up. Now we also have 6 when you're trying to add just 2 items on the screen. what I mean by two items, it's not just like, okay, two items, RO. No, nothing like that. What I mean is like two packaged items, meaning that you can, in one of these 6 MD co MD6, meaning the 6 size column, you can add an image, and underneath it you can write some text. And after doing that here, um that's one item. That's what I mean by two items. That's already one item. And it will take six, the six size of the screen, and then you can also add a second item. But if you define it as four, know that you have about 8 remaining, and then you can divide it anyhow you like. So that's just the idea behind this Bootstrap 12 grid system, and how they scale to to always accommodate the full screen size without any extras. When you go to some web page, because of how they actually define their stuff, maybe there's an extra one here, a small one column here or whatever, and then you will just see that, okay, you can actually move the web page to you can actually move it to the left or right, something like that. But with Bootstrap, and if you actually you write your styling well, those they don't happen, they do not happen. But that's it for that. Just trying to explain this column stuff. And so when we just move forward, trying to still get the idea behind Bootstrap, just know that it's something more of a plug and play. Yeah, well, that's something like, okay, I'm using it in terms of device component and stuff. Maybe you have a gamepad or whatever, and then you just got your gamepad and just kept the USB in your PC, and you're just playing it immediately. That's what I mean. Something that doesn't really have a lot of setup. Of course, it does have a setup to install it in your website, but it's almost as easy as just copying and pasting a few lines of code. But the real idea behind Bootstrap is plug and play. I'll show you something now. Okay, so when I come here now, this is the whole Bootstraps website. To really learn everything involved, anytime I just need a new maybe a nav or a footer or whatever, I can just come here, pick something, and then go and design it to look how I like. Change the colors, change the arrangement, change the font size, the text, the social network added, how they are aligned, and everything like that. You just design it yourself. So now, what I meant is plug and play. I wanted to show you something. So now you can see Nav Navigation, and under Nav you can see footer, nav bars. At least these are the two you know very well, and headers. Then if you check components, you can see a lot of things, even things that normal people don't use. I don't use a lot of these stuff, but they are kept here ready to be used. So you have alerts, badges, buttons, cards, carousel, collapse, and all these things, they mean something. I won't start explaining it now, but I actually have a video of where I talked about all this stuff in a little bit detail. So to still show you that plug and play stuff, I think I can grab a form here. These are forms here, and then you can see if you just keep something like I want something that maybe like autocomplete or checkbox, whatever, date picker. Well, let's see date picker and see what's there. I want something I can use real quick or something, and it might. Whoa, what's all this now? Restricted. So I'm not logged in. Well, why should I log in? Let me just try and keep something else. I don't know why it's doing that, but something else should work. This is something like let's say try carousel with cards. Yeah, cards. I use these cards a lot because most of my content is like blog, and when you are you're building a blog and writing it on it, you kind of put image, then you put text, put image, then you put text. The image is kind of showing what your content might be all about, and the text is like a just a brief explanation or introduction to your blog. So something like this. Now you can see this is the image, then you put text, so you just see some quick example text to build on the card bulk and stuff like that. So then you have a button, maybe like, okay, I want to read this stuff, take me there. But I wanted code. Yeah, so this is code. I can copy this. You see, I'm just carrying it now, and actually if I paste this, it should not work because I still have a lot of things. Whoa. Oh well, you can see. Oh well, sure, nothing much happened. The image just kind of rendered, but the bottom side of it now just has this some quick test stuff, and then the button is blue. That's because I don't have Bootstrap installed. You can see this is the source of the image, and surely any source, any HTML, you keep source in any HTML document, it will find the image and bring it. So that's why, okay, this image rendered, but I still need this underneath stuff to look as fine as it did look here, so that I can actually just show you, the real meaning of plug and play. Just pick something, paste it on your own website, and then you see it working. Then if you want to actually edit stuff, cool. But I need to install Bootstrap, and I don't know. Yeah, I think I need to, like, if I'm not wrong, okay, yeah, I just need to keep so I can also come on here and just add some. This is quite, it wasn't planned and everything, but so I should add in the head and also in the end of the body some scripts, right? Yeah, so this should work now, and I will just have to go to a particular website where you can grab MDB. Oh no. Okay, sure. So I think download the package. You can install Bootstrap in several ways. You can either download the package directly to your site, because that's what I actually do. But if you're just running a small website, there's a way to, okay, yeah, through CDN. Installation via CDN is one of the easiest method of integrating MDB Bootstrap. Just copy the latest compiled tags and everything, so this is the easiest way. I can just keep this, okay, font awesome, this MDB and Google fonts, but I think that should work. Whoa, this is huge as heck. Okay, now you see this stuff worked. That's plug and play for you. I say as long as I have this link there, CDN is just like it's grabbing the whole library from this URL that is kept here. You understand? These are URL, and then it's hosted at a particular server, and then by me keeping the link here, this is Cloudflare, it's hosted at Cloudflare, whatever, and this is CDN. So I'm just grabbing Bootstrap's library into my own page. Very, very easy, so, and then have the button rendered in the way it was defined. I'll talk about one last thing about template in Bootstrap. But now you can see that this image is quite huge. That's because I'm not using layout in Bootstrap. Look, come here now. I actually just defined my card. They call this thing card. I just came here, div, class card, image. I added my image. I added some text and everything, but I didn't keep it inside a column. If I'd kept it inside a column, I can decide to share this page into two, and then one will be here, then one will also be here. If I keep six, meaning I want six sized on the left and six sized on the right, and if I keep four, it will be three. I'll have enough space to keep three contents, you know. So that's just how Bootstrap actually works. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is templates in Bootstrap. So how did I just get this particular design in just a matter of, I didn't write any code. I just kept the CDN the link of CDN, and then I just copied and pasted this little code. Yeah, so Bootstrap, the main function, how it's how it renders all its content is through templates. They are called predefined templates in the Bootstrap's library, CSS library, although it's quite advanced than CSS now. But these are all predefined templates in the sense that if you check this thing very well, look at exactly what I'm writing here. I wrote div class card body AH5 class card title. What it means is that it will fetch the I'm referencing classes by keeping all these things here. I'm referencing classes that have already been defined. So when I keep card body and card title, it's trying to tell whatever I write here. Okay, it doesn't necessarily have to be this. I can change it to about, and it should render as about. You know, so it should render as about. But what this class is really doing is that it's going to make this thing be bold. It's just slightly bold, and then if you come down and see this thing, I'll show you something quite. No, you see, this is a button. Here is a button. The predefined template I'm referencing is in this class, and it's called btn prami, button prami. That's practically what it means. Now, what exactly is this? Okay, it has been defined that anytime I keep the class as this, render a bluish button with a white text. Now I can show you how to quickly change this template by referencing something else. I can just delete this primary, and then it's still a button, but I need something to add, and I can just keep something called dark, and then I think that should be different now. You see, just like that, I kept dark, and it's okay. I just told it, please bring me a different template, predefined template that's already been defined. Just keep in your code, and then it changes. Very easy. If I wanted to if I just wanted to write this thing, it says I'll come here and write, oh, my buttons, get me this stuff, I need black stuff, and then make a lot of mistakes, spend some time, and well, that's just what Bootstrap does for you. So now it's on black, and you can just reference a lot of things here, and you see, that's just how it is. So I think we should also, I don't really want to go into the technical part, but you watch this video on your phone, and I just hope things are way more clear for you, because Bootstrap is not hard at all. After all, it's plug and play, so I see no reason why it should actually be hard. Just get your code, keep it on here, and then have your fancy stuff waiting for you. But there's one thing now, last thing I would like to do. Let's just try and check that container, how it works. So I can do something like div class is equal to container, you see, and then I close my div, and then since container encloses every single thing in the page, this div that is standing out here, this particular div that is here, what I'm going to do is that I'm going to have to close that div at the end, the total end of the page, because container encloses everything. So now I'm just closing that div now. I've closed it, and you can actually see what happened here. You see what just happened? I think okay, so we have this now. What just happened is that because of I defined it as container, it just kind of resized the content to fit a particular, a lot of blogs use this. It has to be not really centered, but you can see that the space here matches the amount of space here. But that's just how Bootstrap does. There's something different, but I don't want to go into it, but I'll just show you something. If I keep, instead of this container, I kept container fluid, what that will do is it will also change this content. You can see the space now here is smaller, meaning if I want something like I want my content to be quite in the middle, I can keep container, and that's what most people do. So yeah, you can see now the next one, like I said, was div class equal to row. You know, I kept my class equal to row, and then I covered it, and I would also come to this bottom side to close my row, and I've closed it. You can see. So now the last thing we will have to do is write just a small div for the column, and I can just write column. I write col. Col is used to signify, okay, this is a column, and I write col, and I can write lg 4. I just hope this does, because sometimes it can be quite fishy. Okay, yeah, that's it. You can see I will kind of explain what that small little code means, but I also have to close my column, and I'm going to do that here now. So it's closed. You can see this remaining div that is here and everything inside is the card itself. I'm not going to touch that, but I'll copy it because I want to show you something more. So now I have this column, and you can see how now it's much more better because it's smaller. I don't want that large text everywhere, and you can see how small and tidy it is just because I'm using Bootstrap. If you wanted to do this in HTML and CSS, it's going to take you, okay, for someone beginner, even intermediate, it might take you up to 30 minutes because you might be running into different kind of issues that you didn't even bargain for. But now Bootstrap, I just had to write col lg4, and well, it's tiny. What this means is that define, or rather make my column on a large screen the size of 4. That's what it means. LG means large. You know, since I'm working on a PC here, I decided to keep LG, you know, but if it was on a phone, that's a different story altogether. It would render as 12. So I can actually complete it as COL SM12, meaning that render this stuff on a large screen as 4, then on a small screen render it as 12. Because if you render it 4 on a small screen, it will be too tiny for someone to see it. That's why it's like that. But now let me show you something. We have 4, we have some space for 2 more here. We can still keep 4 and 4 to make it up to 12. Now let's do that. So what I'm going to do is that I'm not going to define a new row, because these 3 would be on a row. This is one row, and the second row is underneath it. But I want to first of all fill up this row before I can think of creating another row. So now this one, I'm going to this new text, this card text thing, I'm going to define would also be inside this row. This one, I'm not going to close off the. So now that I copied that text, all I can do is I can just recopy this. Now I can copy this again, and then this is remember that this was the closing of the column. I will start here, and then I can just keep another one. So that's it. Now this is the closing of the row, and this is the closing of the container, which must always be the ultimate. Now for the last one, since I have more space, what I can do is I can put another copied, and I should, but I don't. What the? Okay, yeah, I see what's happening. This is my, yeah, the downside of this is that it can be quite confusing when you are using it, because you won't know. Everything I'm saying is div. You won't know where you close your last column or where it's something started or stuff like that, you know. But let me just try and work this out. Maybe okay, so it means surely I didn't close a particular row or something somewhere. I didn't close it. I will just have to look through it a bit and see what's happening. This div container row, keep this here. This is the image of this stuff. Weird, very weird. Okay, that's it. Okay, this one here, div image, div well, very confusing, but I think you get the idea. You know, that was 4, but since this is messing up here, I wanted to try something. Maybe if I keep this on 6 now, it should take a whole lot more space. and since it's actually 6, this one is 4, that's 10. We have space for 2 more. That's why this space is remaining like a bit like tiny, you know. So I can instead change this one to 6, and because there is a div that isn't closed, it might go to the next line because I didn't close a div somewhere. Oh, whoa. So now this is 12, 4, 4, 4. That was 12 also. For some reason, this small little one there didn't want to kind of go into that place. But that would probably because I didn't close a div or something. But now you see the way you can just change your content depending on what you kept inside that this column class, right? Is where I stop. So just and that's just, I think this, with all these explanations that you can just get the idea. And yeah, this is too small. Just get the idea behind how Bootstrap works. Very perfect, honestly. It makes things very simplifies it a lot, because this just this thing designed can take up to an hour, whatever, for you to just keep something similar on your site. But now you can just see less than 10 minutes and it's done. So yeah, the main points are just that for Bootstrap is for you to know that it uses a 12 grid system to define how text, or rather how content renders on the screen. It with that 12 grid system, it achieves responsiveness by scaling scaling according to screen size, by just adding content after one or another, or if the screen is not enough, it just takes it to the next line without any form of extra spaces that causes your screen to move horizontally and all that. We don't want that on our site. And then also thirdly is that it uses predefined templates to build the bulk of a page. And now you can see these are cards, and why there are a lot more others available. You can just have a lot of other things, tooltips, steppers, spinners, written, every other thing you can think of. And then you can see, okay, let me show you this nav. This is a nav bar, and if you take a lot of time creating some nav bar, you can just see, okay, this is a Bootstrap generated nav bar, and you can see how it works and everything like that by just copying this. But at the end of the day, as much as all this is good, you won't really achieve much at all with Bootstrap without knowing HTML and CSS. That's why no one can just come into web dev and start from Bootstrap. It's impossible. Well, it might have been done, but it won't pay much. It won't pay you much. It's always good because you can't use layouts that are just defined. If you want something custom, you will need to be able to manipulate all this code here to maybe change this stuff, keep your own stuff, and watch how it renders, because you need to know HTML and CSS before being able to use Bootstrap effectively. That's just what you should keep in mind. It's quite good after you've gone through all the stress working out HTML and CSS. Then yeah, you can actually relax a bit and just use that knowledge into Bootstrap to achieve some quite fancy designs. Yeah, so that's it for this video. I just hope this thing kind of explains, simplifies everything in Bootstrap. There is nothing hard in it at all. Install and plug and play, or just copy and paste your layouts and you get running. So that's it for this video, and thanks.